What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, MATCHROOM CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn did a recent interview in which he discussed and talked about the possibility of us getting an undisputed bout between his fighter, unified British heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua, and undefeated WBC American heavyweight champion Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. So Eddie Hearn, after, we know that Anthony Joshua recently came out and he stated that, basically he's not really concerned with Deontay Wilder the fight to happen, after just a few days prior stating that he's doing anything and everything in his power to make sure and secure that fight for 2020, or for Deontay Wilder offer he can't refuse, to secure that fight. He then came out and did an interview on JD, and he claimed and he stated that Deontay Wilder has been boxing since 2008. He's been a professional since 2008. He's just recently became a professional 2013, and these guys should be, meaning him and Tyson Fury, should be further along in their careers than they are. Deontay Wilder should have been a unified champ, so on and so forth, right? He started to change his tone and his approach to the Wilder fight. And this is what I told you guys. I was hoping that Anthony Joshua stood on the square, and staying firm on what he was saying about wanting a Wilder fight. But it seemed like, he has since changed his tone, right? With that said, Eddie Hearn has come out and he's saying that Anthony Joshua truly wants the Wilder fight next. And now Eddie Hearn is claiming that the same investors in Saudi Arabia that reached out to him about the Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua rematch, has reached out to him about the Wilder fight. And he said that it's so big, it's so huge, that they can't refuse it, right? It's an offer they made that they can't refuse, that he himself has to move out the way. And he's hoping that Deontay Wilder's team, moves out the way as well. And he stated, don't be greedy. This is the biggest offer we could get. Don't let it get away from us. Let's make it happen in Saudi Arabia, right? I don't know how keen Deontay Wilder would be, in my opinion, to go to Saudi Arabia and stage the fight. Eddie Hearn said that, another thing he said, that this fight is too big to happen in the UK. He also stated that it's a fight that's too big to happen in the States as far as finances is concerned, right? He's saying that, the investors in Saudi Arabia are offering, amount of money that nobody in the UK or nobody in the States is willing to offer. So he's stating that, let's take the fight, right? He's saying, let's not, allow this moment to get away from us and allow this opportunity to get away from us. I have no doubts, in my opinion, that, maybe the Saudi Arabia investors are willing to pay for this fight. They were willing to pay for Joshua versus Ruiz Part 2. They saw an opportunity and they wanted to capitalize on it. We know the endless money they have in Saudi Arabia, so I don't doubt that, they're willing to go to an endless pit as far as money to put up is concerned, to make this fight happen. So I don't doubt that in the least bit. The question is, are they? And he also stated that, it's a 50-50. They have to give Deontay Wilder at least 50-50. He says that, their stock has risen. So this is what Eddie Hearn is saying. At least he hasn't changed his tune as far as, the value of Deontay Wilder, right? We know that, and he said that he also went to the zone and he told them that they're going to have to reach deep in their pockets to make this fight happen, if they want to have this fight happen. Obviously, it would be a joint network situation where I'm interested to see how this plays out, with the Zone, a streaming app, doing a joint network deal with Deontay Wilder doing it with Fox or Showtime, right? Because we saw HBO and Showtime do a deal, do business for Pacquiao, Mayweather. We know Obviously, Fox or Showtime, Fox and ESPN are going to get a deal done, a network deal, joint deal for this upcoming fight with Wilder and Fury, right? So with that said, obviously we're putting the carriage before the horse because Deontay Wilder has a huge hurdle to climb February 22nd against Tyson Fury, which I expect him to pass that test with flying colors. But with that said, you know, is there going to be a little bit of marks on the paper that he's going to have to erase? I'm expecting so, you know, because Tyson Fury is a great boxer. So with that said, you know, I'm interested to see how the Zone is going to do a network deal, seeing as though it's a streaming app, right? How they're going to air it in both places. And see, remember, Wilder Fury 1, they realized that it was streamed in over 10 million, illegally streamed in over 10 million homes. Over 10 million homes illegally streamed Wilder Fury 1. So, and that was on network, on Showtime, right? Now, if it's already on the YouTube, right, and it's being streamed there, or the Zone because it's an app, right? Then that leaves room for people to tap into it and do it as well. Like, how do they protect that? I don't know how that's going to work, right? You know, and then how are they going to tally up who did what, right? How are they going to split it? You know, that's interesting for me to see. You know, maybe there's people out there that don't see it so difficult, you know, to do. And if feel free to comment and you know, break it down for me. But me personally, I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. But I don't believe that Anthony Joshua is totally committed to this fight. He sounded the part in the beginning, you know, and I'm starting to think that Eddie Hearn is more committed to this fight than Anthony Joshua is. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because I think that Eddie Hearn sees the you know, the pot of gold, and he sees the opportunity financially to capitalize, and he don't want to lose that opportunity, especially seeing Anthony Joshua come up short against Andy Ruiz Jr. in the first fight. So I think that at this point in time, Eddie Hearn is like, listen, I got to get my bang for my buck, and this is the time to seize the moment. I can't let this opportunity slip away from me again financially as a promoter, right? Anthony Joshua said in the interview he just recently did, he said financially for fighters, it doesn't truly matter because we fought in the amateurs for no money. There was times we boxed and didn't get $1, didn't get a cent. So, you know, he stated that, you know, financially this fight is not as important as legacy. He said the biggest thing is legacy for him. So, you know, he said at some point in time, before he's done and before I'm done, this fight will happen. So that doesn't sound too, you know, convincing that it's going to happen anytime soon. It sounds like Anthony Joshua doesn't mind kicking his feet up and allowing this to just play out and happen when it happens. Don't sound like he's willing to force the issue and push for this fight to happen ASAP, right? It sounds like at this point in time, he's just willing to let the chips fall where they may, right? That's a far different cry from what he was just talking about 2 and 3 days ago when he was claiming that he's willing to make a offer. Deontay Wilder can't refuse to get this fight done at the end of the year. Now, Eddie Hearn is stating that, you know, they want to make it happen by the end of the year, and he's hoping that Deontay Wilder's team is on board. You know, so it kind of feels like, in my opinion, that Anthony Joshua's like, if it happens at the end of the year, it happens. If it don't, it don't. And see, so these are the reason why we get on him for contradicting himself and having, you know, coming out and saying two different things in such a short period of time with no true reasoning, right? There's nothing happened for him to just up and say, well, you know, now, you know, no chain of events took place for him to say, oh, well, you know what? I'm not really worried about the fight happening. Because Deontay Wilder didn't even respond. So that's the part that's alarming, and that makes people frustrated with this whole entire situation. So, you know, I don't doubt that these investors in Saudi Arabia are willing to drastically, you know, pay these fighters. And he also stated that they're offering so much money that it removes the promoters and the teams, and it just basically comes down to the fighters wanting to stage it in Saudi Arabia. But he has no doubt that both fighters, when they see this massive offer, that they'll both you know, give in and you know, commit to it, right? So let's see how this all plays out. Like I stated, I don't know how willing Deontay Wilder would be to go to Saudi Arabia and make this fight happen. It seems like Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn they definitely have a closer relationship with these investors. Not that I believe that they're gonna try and stand in the way, you know, of the outcome of this fight, but you just never know. And so that could be a concern for Deontay Wilder. You know, me personally, I spoke my piece, and I told you guys that I would love to see this fight take place in Africa. I think it would do enormous numbers in Africa.